Hello listeners and welcome to my FTL, Faster Than Light, gameplay video. We're going to go through a quick run through of the gameplay. I'm going to play through hopefully a little bit longer than the first few sectors. Who knows, maybe I'll get my butt handed to me, and this video will end prematurely. That being the case, well, you get to see how frustrating yet rewarding the game can be, because overcoming the obstacles is, well, part of the enjoyment. Now, I know that there is a version of the game available for iPad, and of course that's going to be touch command. A little bit different than this, I'm sure, but this is the regular vanilla version with the recent patch installed. So we'll go ahead and start a new game. I'm not going to bother continuing. I think I was in Sector 6, but since the game goes by relatively quick, I don't mind getting rid of that one and starting over anew. And there we go. Yes, we're going to start a new game. This here is the initial ship, the Kestrel. I've got a few others available that you earn through gameplay. I got the Engi ship and the Osprey. This should be available with the upgraded version, which should be free and included in the iPad version as well as PC. And this one here, these guys are this is the Zoltan ship. I earned this through gameplay, and those are the only ones I actually have unlocked. I don't play the game very often, but I do enjoy it when I play. So we'll go ahead and just stick with the Kestrel for now, since that's the ship you're probably going to be dealing with. Normal and hard, and of course easy mode. We'll go ahead and stick with normal here. And you can actually turn off the Enhanced Edition or Advanced Edition, which is the free upgrade that they have on the game itself, which is awesome. I mean, the game's a few years old, and they go ahead and release more content for free. And there's a bunch of user-made mods available as well. Those are generally for the PC edition. I don't know if they have any for the iPad version. So let's go ahead and get underway. If you'll notice, we've got ourselves a burst laser and the Artemis, which is a missile system. The whole point of the game, I mean, the story can have a lot of depth, or it can have no depth whatsoever. You can ignore the story completely and just play it, or you can actually investigate and get more information about what's happening in the world that you're playing. In the case here, of course, there's the story. You can pause the video if you want to read up on it, but we'll go ahead and continue. Now, if you notice, I'm starting with only 10 current scrap. If you look at our upgrades here for the ship, you can do this in every sector, every star system that you visit, either after you have completed whatever activity has occurred, or if there's no activity, right away. Some systems that are inherently dangerous near stars or asteroid belts, you can't access this at all. So you have, if you notice down here at the bottom, your power supply. Here's your overall power bars, and here's what's currently being used for each system. So we've got shields, engines, your med bay right here, oxygen, and weaponry. You can charge up your weapons here. And as you notice, they take a little bit of time to prepare. As your crew increases in level and capability, those levels will decrease, of course. So here's your crew. You can move these guys around to different portions of the ship as you see fit. So if instead of having somebody on engines and weapons, you'd rather have shields and weapons, well, you can certainly do that. You can, of course, deactivate areas of the ship and put the power elsewhere. So if you're not having any reason for, a med bay to be active, you can put more energy in your engines, which improves your dodge capability as well as your FTL charge, faster than light jump, which can help if you're in a very tight spot and rather than fight it out, you just need to escape. I mentioned the burst laser here. It gives you some very good tooltips. The entire game has excellent tooltips. Tells you exactly what it's going to do, all the possibilities possible. Fire effect, if there's a breach chance for a weapon, shield penetration, The missiles here, if you notice, it's got possible effects: breach, fire, and stun. That, of course, the stun would happen to any crew members in the section which was targeted. And, of course, subsystems over here as well. Now, some of them, like the pilot, well, you got to have a crew member to either engage the FTL or use the evade portion. How up here, if you notice, the evade on the ship, 15%, is what I have for my current dodge or evade. Alright, so of course I was mentioning the upgrades here. Every upgrade needs power, so you have to increase your power from your reactor. And you have a limited number of power units you can divide amongst your active subsystems. Of course, you can upgrade each system individually: shields, engines, medbay, oxygen, and weapons, as well as the piloting. If you notice, as soon as you turn it on, half of your crewed evasion is available uncrewed. So 15% evade with the autopilot, I would get 7.5% on the automatic evasion. And then you have the sensors, tells you exactly what they're going to do, and the door system. Now the door system comes in play because if you notice here, we have doors to the exterior, which immediately just all that oxygen goes out. This is now a vacuum. You can use that to deter boarding parties by selectively blasting oxygen out of your ship, which damages them if they're in that particular area. So pretty handy there. And if you notice during the upgrade screen, the blast doors, make it more difficult for fire and intruders to move through the doors themselves. So we've got the introduction pretty much done here. Here's your crew. Here's some additions they made in the enhanced version. You can save their positions and then move them to those positions. So if here in the shields, this guy needs to go put out a fire in the engine room, and you want to bring this guy to, press this button and they'll both go back to their respective positions, weapons, and shields. Here's your fuel. Each jump consumes 1 fuel. Like I said, the tooltips are great in this game. Missiles and drone parts. And here's, of course, your scrap, which is the currency in the game, and hull. So let's jump to our first sector. There's a store already, which is totally useless because I have no scrap to spend. So we'll go ahead and just hop down to this one. Alright, so we get some combat right away. Well, potential combat. You can, in a lot of situations, avoid combat completely. The rewards can vary. In this case, I only get 8 scrap, but I avoid fighting the guy. So there's the potential of saving myself, spending the scrap on repairs and other things needed, and missiles that I would use in battle. Of course, you can see what it is, how many shields it has, its hull class, where its power is. It doesn't have any power in weapons right now, or its drone, so it would need to charge its weapons. Of course, you need to as well, so that's not really a bonus. So, we'll go ahead and engage. Oh, well, look at that. I actually got lucky. I was able to pull a little bit extra scrap, fuel, and a drone part, and I still didn't activate the drone. Pretty handy. So we'll go ahead and jump again. Looks like I've got a couple ships detected in these areas here. And now this is one of the bonuses of what I did with that drone. It gave me a star map. So I know all the jump points here that have potential activity or hostiles, the stores, a distress signal, which is sort of like a side mission that you can do, as well as these guys, which are nebula, which would interfere with your sensors, which again, the tooltips in this game are excellent. It tells you pretty much exactly what it's going to do. It's going to disrupt your sensors. It's experiencing an ion storm, which means it's also going to interfere with your shielding. So that's sort of missing, but you get used to it. I mean, 1 out of 100 misses is pretty good. So we'll go ahead and just jump to this one here, see what sort of contact we've got. Now, if you notice, my background here is pretty freaking awesome. Now, this is a mod downloaded for the PC version. This is improved backgrounds and asteroids. So you may not see quite this good fidelity on your iPad or an unmodded version of the game, but even vanilla, they look very good. So let's go ahead and get into some combat here. Now, one of the great things about combat, it sort of is turn-based. Now, everything is concurrent, so in other words, all your weapons charge, their weapons charge, their shields recharge, your shields recharge, all at the same time. But you can pause it at any time and input multiple instructions at the same time before letting the simulation resume. So right now I've got my missiles recharging or charging and my lasers charging. Of course, the lasers have 3 shots per charge. They do 1 damage each and can cause fire. This guy only has 1 shield, so each shield will defend against 1 laser blast, no matter how powerful it is. So a heavy laser that does 3 damage per shot only hits 1 shield section per shot. So this guy could actually burst through 2 layers of shields and still do at least a little bit of damage to the ship itself. This is important to keep in mind for later gameplay where you're running into ships that have all 4 shields. It's good to lead with a weapon like this because it can burn out 3 of their shields, and then if you have another weapon that has another, let's say 2 or 3 shots, then you can hit their last shield and still have at least 1 of your hits go through their shielding. So let's go ahead and first things first, I always try and target either their weapons or shields myself. Usually their weapons. Missiles burn right through shields. There are defenses against it like drones. Defense drones will shoot missiles down. This guy doesn't have any, and even if they do, you can still destroy their drone section. Like if the drone section was here in the ship, you could hit it with a missile, disable the drones, or hit it with your lasers and disable them. So very tactical. Yeah, it takes a long time sometimes if a ship is very large and has multiple sections to decide exactly what steps you want to take with the weapons you have to prevent the most damage to yourself and inflict the most damage on the enemy. So we went ahead and targeted their weapons with our missile. We'll go ahead and target with the burst laser as well, because we definitely want to disable those first so they can't hit us. Mainly because if you notice here, their missiles match ours. They have an Artemis as well. So our shields don't mean crap. And boom, they hit our engines. So here's a great time to pause. If you notice, we went ahead and hit their weapon systems with the missile. We also hit them with a few laser blasts, so it turned red. This means that their subsystem is totally deactivated, can be repaired, but for now it is offline. Their weapons actually retract to show you as such. For my ship, they did the same thing. They hit my engines, they did serious damage, and if you notice right here, they pierced my hull. So this section of the ship is rapidly going to decompress. So what we're going to want to do is immediately get 2 of my guys over there to start repairs, because the engines being disabled means, you notice my guy's no longer accessing the terminal. That's because there's no use in actually doing anything. He can't guide the ship, he can't do anything except stand there like a stick in the mud. So we'll go ahead and get my weapons guy and my pilot to go repair the hull breach. I'm not going to waste another missile on this guy because my laser blast here is probably going to take him out. Okay, so not quite, but if you notice orange... Alright, so here's a great example of my engines. Here's how much damage they did. Their missiles do 2 damage, apparently. And so they're both red. Now, as they get repaired, it'll turn yellow. Like with his damage, if you look down here, is probably about halfway down this, maybe a little bit more. It's not totally disabled, but it can't charge. Alright? And this also comes into play if you get damaged. If you notice, the 2 power bars that would normally go to my engines are both in the available power scale right here. So if I had another weapon that I hadn't been powering before, I would have 2 extra bars to power said weapon while this was being repaired, or if I didn't have the time or the manpower to repair it, I could have a little bit of an edge otherwise. The power's not just lost. So pretty handy there. So we'll go ahead and retarget their shields because we don't want those to come back up. And we will see if we can take them out with this blast. There you go. Alright, so I got another scan, or a map scan. Nothing special. Now, all of your crew members have levels. If you notice right here, as they do things, pilot the ship, repair, do the weapon system, shields, fight in combat and hand-to-hand combat, these skills will increase. If you go to your ship and your crew, you'll be able to see more details. And you can see here exactly what they're going to do. Now, there are multiple species, as you may have noticed. There was the Engi ship at the beginning, and there are the rock ship, and multiple species, slugs, a whole bunch of things. And each one of them have their own specific bonuses. The Kestrel's human ship, so you're going to get humans. And if you notice over there, their skills improve slightly faster. They're just common. They don't have any bonuses to anything. They just get better faster. And which comes in handy, which is why you pretty much want to stick one crew member in one slot and keep them there for the duration if possible. So we went ahead and took care of that guy. We got a little bit of scrap, not a bunch, so we'll go ahead and continue. Now, looking at our star map, you notice the little red half moon here? Yeah, that is the bad guys, and they are rapidly closing in on your position. If, let's say, it was over here and it was extending past the star and I jumped to that star, I would actually encounter a very advanced enemy that would most likely hand me my butt. So we'll go ahead and jump to this quick section. And looks like it was a quick scout. And they're powering up their FTL. They're trying to run. They don't want to fight. Well, I don't want them to escape, because if they do, they're more than likely going to cause trouble. In other words, that red section of the map, it's going to extend further faster, because these guys will give them a heads up as to where I am. And if I mentioned probes, well, there's one right now, or drones. And here's the drone section of the chip, drone control. So first things first, since this is an offensive drone, not a defensive, I don't have to worry about wasting my missiles. I can actually use one. And I'm going to do so because this guy looks like he's only equipped with one missile. Now, well, I don't want damage. I don't want him to escape. So I'm going to shoot a missile at his weapons, and then I'm going to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to put missiles on his engines, and then I will disable his weapons with my machine gun. Because this drone here, it shoots a little pew, and that's not going to pierce my shields. Alright, so there we go. Engines are charging still, they're not delayed. So I need to put a missile on that because his weapons are out, and we'll go ahead and hit his shields as well. If you notice, I've got a fire in a compartment. Thankfully, there's nobody around, so I can go ahead and open up some hatches. That'll put out the fire, no problem. And even open that hatch and make sure that if it spreads, the vacuum will suck out the oxygen before it can get into my weapons room there. So we'll go ahead and let this go here. We'll see if my missile hits first. It does not, so I'll follow it up with the lasers. Oh, excellent. Alright, so there we go. We've got his engines down, but he's repairing them rather rapidly. And his weapons are down, but they just repaired. Okay, so let's put another missile on their engines. Success. And we'll hit their weapons again so that they can't... Good, there we go. Alright. So here's my reward. Some fuel, a drone part, and 14 scrap. And thankfully they won't actually be reporting back to the fleet, which would be a bad thing. Go ahead and seal this guy back up and let it refill our oxygen. Now, for the most part, I leave these little side areas, the bathrooms, I guess, I don't know what the hell they are, in a vacuum. This helps because a lot of the time the AI will teleport into these areas, and it makes it faster for me to, put this center area into a vacuum. So I don't have to wait for these areas to empty as they already are. And your crew generally never goes there anyways. Alright, so we'll go ahead and jump along. Multiple options here, and we'll just leave them alone. We'll go ahead and jump. Alright. The mantis and other species that you run into, pretty diverse here in the first sector. Usually it's... Oh, and look at that, I've got an intruder. Alright, so we'll go ahead and just open up the doors and let him suffer the horrible, debilitating effects of being sucked into space. Now, if you notice, he walked right through the door, no hesitation. That's because I did not upgrade my blast doors at all. I didn't bother with that. I didn't actually have the scrap for it yet. So we'll go ahead and chase him around with that a little bit. First things first, of course, we'll go ahead and eliminate his weapons capability. And if you notice, he's got a laser, just like mine. Well, not quite just like mine. And this looks like a beam weapon of some sort, which relies on my shields being down. So I still want to make sure that he can't hurt me. We'll go ahead and unpause and see what we can do about that. There we go. Alright, now, these mantis guys are really nasty when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. We do not want our guys fighting him alone. We'll make it a 2-on-1. That's a little more fair, don't you think? Alright, so his weapons are down. We'll go ahead and just keep pounding his weapons. Once this guy gets hurt enough, he'll probably get teleported back to his ship. Yep, there you go. Alright, we can go ahead and return everybody to their posts and save a missile by just continuing our assault on his weapons systems. There we go. Nice, easy win. Of course, this is the first section. I'm actually getting lucky. I have been completely dominated in the first section. Actually, on my first jump, I have just been totally screwed over. You'll run into enemies that you have no chance of defeating whatsoever, and even if you try to run, you'll get destroyed before you have the chance to. So, that's one of the great things about the game. You don't want to put too much thought or effort into every single decision. You just want to move along, because if you win, excellent, you will feel amazing about yourself. If you lose, well, you need to just let it go and move on to the next try. So we'll go ahead and jump real quick here, see what we run into. And look at that, some pirates. I'll regret this decision, he says. You will regret this decision. He's got missiles, so we want to disable that ASAP. We'll go ahead and burn a missile to do just that. He, of course, gets the shot too. No fire. Now, here we go. Do I let him surrender? Get these things? Or... yeah, I don't think so. You want to mess with me? This is the price you pay. You made me waste a missile on you, and I don't appreciate that. He's actually pretty quick on the uptake for repairs, but pretty sure I can take him out before that missile. Yeah, there we go. Gets a chance to shoot me. Now, if you notice, the rewards for destroying them aren't that much greater than actually just accepting their surrender, but it's a principle of the thing, mate. We do not accept surrender. Now, if you notice, it tells me exactly where I can jump with each one of the sections on the map. Of course, if you notice, they're just a little bit... use a little bit more transparency on that, but on the tooltip, but we'll let it go for now. Now, do I want another contact, and then jump here, and then to the distress, and then I'll have to come back here and go to the exit? Or do I just want to start heading to the exit? Because each time, you notice the little red thing here that advances above that? Yeah, that's going to go that much further forward. So if I jump, the next time it'll be up here. If I jump again, the next time it'll be here. If I jump again, the next time it'll be here. And if you jump into this section, you probably are going to die. The chances are very high. So you've got you got a decision to make. How much of a risk are you willing to take? How far do you think you can get before the rebels are going to catch up? So I think I can at least do this jump, as well as the distress, and then back. So we'll go ahead and do just that. We'll skip those exclamation points. And here we go. Civilian space station, need drone parts. Buy some drone parts. I don't have a drone set up in my ship, so I don't really have any use for them right now. And they're actually more expensive than 2 each, but we'll go ahead and, or 4 each, sorry. But we'll go ahead and do half of ours. We'll do 3 of them for a little bit extra scrap. We'll head to the stress beacon and see what this is. Overrun by some sort of giant alien spiders. Do I want to help or not? Issue becomes, you may get a reward, or you can lose one of your crew members, which means one of the stations that you've been manning, shields, engines, weapons, something is going to go amiss. So we'll go ahead and take the chance. And look at that. Not everybody made it back. Alright, so let's continue. And I didn't get anything for it. I only lost. Kind of a pain in the ass. You're like one of those, and it really isn't anything you can do. It's over with now. So now I have a choice. Do I want to keep my shields powered, or do I want to charge my weapons faster? With where we are so early, I'll go ahead and stick with weapons. For the most part, we're not going to hit anything that has more than 1 shield, and they're not really going to be able to do anything to pierce my shield except hit me with missiles, which the shield doesn't do anything against anyways. So, there we go. And let's continue our jump. I think I could make it to the store, but the problem is if I go to the store, then I'll have to jump back here, jump here, and then the exit, and by then they'll have been caught up. So we're not going to go to the store. I'll just go ahead and jump ahead here. We'll jump again. We should be in the clear for this one. And there we go. A good amount of debris. Okay, let's investigate the battlefield. Oh, look at that. So we'll go ahead and give this guy a little bit of what for. Now we'll go ahead and lead off with some missiles, of course. Ow. I forgot. His shields were impenetrable to start with. It was a specific... It keeps attacking my empty room. I suppose it's okay. You can blow up the empty room all you want. The little bar, the green bar that had appeared underneath here, it would block everything. Doesn't matter what it was. And I didn't notice that before I wasted a missile on it, but too late. That's one of the things about the game. A lot of the times you'll realize something just a little too late. But that's how you get better. Practice. Alright, so I got 103 scrap right now. We could upgrade some stuff. If you notice, all the requirements are pretty clear in the tooltips on the right. So for shields, you're actually going to need 2 enhancements to get 1 shield barrier, or 1 extra. So they need 20 and 30 scrap apiece, so I need at least 50 scrap just for the shield availability. That doesn't include the power requirement. I'm also going to need to upgrade my power twice to have 2 more bars of power. So we'll do that. And I don't have enough to upgrade that. However, you can cancel it, undo. So we'll go ahead and do 1 power and 2 shields, and we'll accept that. Because I can drop my engines down and increase my shield capacity. Bingo. Well, this may decrease my evasion from 15% to 10, and my FTL charge by a little bit. It doubles my shield capability. which makes it even more difficult for just lasers to pierce my shield and do damage to my hull. But since missiles, don't care about your shields, then this is actually a good investment, because it's either I dodge 5% more missiles or I deflect 100% extra lasers. A kind of a delicate balance depending on the weapons you're going against, and you can always mitigate this in battle. If they're like all missiles, well, you can just get rid of that and switch over one engine, because you're not going to be deflecting the missiles with the shields anyways. Very cool, very intense while you're in battle to try and figure out exactly what your best bet's going to be. Let's have a look at the next sector, and here's our sector map. This is the final one. This is how far you're going, this is how many levels there are, and you get to pick your route. You can go here, then here, or here, then here. Completely up to you, and they give you some information on each one. And these will dictate encounters you're going to have. These red ones, since they're hostile, they're going to be more rebels and other hostile species. The green ones, less so. Although usually you run into more pirates in the civilian sectors, not surprisingly. And the nebulas, they mess with your shields, sensors, weapons, all of the above, randomly in each one. I usually try and avoid these unless you're in a ship that has a slug in it, because the slug species reveals the interior of your own ship, even with the nebula around. So that can help if there's intruders or things like that, and makes the nebula less damaging. Alright, so here we go. We got Zoltan or NG. We'll go to the Zoltan sector just because. Alright, and right away we'll get a quick distress beacon. Let's head that way. Oh, look at that. These guys aren't usually very nice. And if you notice, there's the green bar I was talking about. Using a missile is pretty much useless against these guys right now. You just gotta burn through their shields. Doesn't matter what you aim at. And you can actually get this ship yourself with that type of a shield, which can help. It completely mitigates all damage to start with. And we'll uncharge the Artemis. Recharge the... Ow! Just keep targeting his weapons so he doesn't hit me with the missiles again. And he's repairing. He's got people in here right now. If I had a specific weapon that could really injure crew, I could actually... Oh, and look at that. So I was just mentioning killing the crew. Apparently it had all of its crew in the engine or the weapons compartment, because the hull isn't destroyed. So I didn't destroy the ship, I actually killed all of its crew without even meaning to. But you can do that on purpose with certain weapons and sensor technology. So keep that in mind. You had noticed how they had teleported us, one of the bugs onto my ship. You actually can purchase an upgrade that gives you a teleporter. You can send people to their ship and can damage their subsystems or kill everybody on board, and then this happens. You win, and you didn't have to kill them. So or didn't have to destroy the ship at least. Unfortunately, you couldn't add that ship to your ship, and create an armada where you've got 3 and 4 separate ships and bring them all to battle. So long as you had the crew to man them. But it's whatever. All right, so there we go, and that's how you play the game. That's a really in-depth look at the combat, as well as some of the decisions you can make. The pause is really a handy thing if you're in a tight spot. Gives you a chance to really look at everything that you can do and what you should do in the time you're given. Um, like repairing this thing, well, I already have my doors open. It doesn't matter that I've got a hole breach there. My hole's pretty low, so I'll be looking for a store so I can repair. There are other side missions you can accomplish which will give you hull repair. The game's very in-depth and can take a long time. I mean, you saw all those sectors. This is how long it took me to get through really one, although this wasn't exactly a speed play. But here is FTL, Faster Than Light. This is the Advanced Edition. I know it's available for, I believe, $9.99 on the iPad, and probably pretty close to the same on Steam. I haven't looked in a while. Although, of course, on Steam, they've always got sales going on, so you never know when you can pick it up for a couple bucks. If you ever see it on sale, I would definitely advise you to pick it up. It's a very fun game, and being able to just pause at any time and walk away from it and come back is definitely an advantage, because it means you can go take a break for a minute. You can sit here and review everything and kind of come up with a strategy that's best for the enemy you've run up against. Very fun game, can be extremely frustrating. Do not expect to live to the final boss the first 5 or 6 times you tried to play. And even if you finally make it to the boss is insanely difficult and will hand your ass to you without a second thought, and you'll have to come up with a new strategy for the next time if you can make it back to the boss the next time. For now, this is Adam, and thank you for watching my review. Leave comments below and let me know if you'd like to see more.